Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Subnet Show. I am your host, Gabriel Cardona, and I'm joined as always by my good friend, the man with the most cats in crypto, Connor Daly. What is up? How's it going, man?
We need to get you a nickname one of these
Hey, nickname?
days.
Oh, yeah. We'll take some crowd suggestions on that. Everybody
The
drop.
man with the fewest cats in crypto.
That's true at the moment. I have none.
It's technically true.
Yeah, so yeah, drop some comments in there in the box below. I am interested if you guys got some good nickname suggestions for me. Let's keep
The
it
subnetor,
yeah,
with
keep it classy.
the
So this is a special episode of the Subnet Show because this is technically the last episode of the Subnet Show for the year. We're going to take the next couple weeks off, and obviously this is the first year of the Subnet Show. I've always wanted to have a podcast. Basically, I've tried a couple times with friends in the past. I think Connor's had a similar experience, and so we have this unique experience where every time there is a new sort of tech ecosystem that explodes, there's always a good opportunity to create some type of social media around it. I've seen it so many times over and over. And so, of course, when Avalanche blew up, my intuition was like, man, this is a good opportunity to have a podcast. And then especially being where we are helping to create the technology, and we're just well positioned to talk to a lot of the different players in the ecosystem. And so Connor jumped on board relatively easily with not much persuasion needed. And it's been successful so far, right? Like, if nothing else, I've had a good time doing it. We've met a lot of really cool people. I believe that many of the people we've interviewed are already doing amazing things, right? It's exciting to see some of the cool stuff that's being done by our friends. And it's like, excited to take a couple weeks off and recharge and then approach things again in the new year's with a fresh vibe. What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think this year's been amazing. This is technically not the first year of Avalanche. We slipped into 2020 with like 2 months to spare.
Right.
But I mean, this was our coming out year. This was our coming out party, and I joined the team last October, but this was the first full calendar year being with the project, being with the team, and seeing everything grow. And I was not at the start. I was a little bit hesitant to do this podcast because I didn't want my entire life to become crypto.
Uh-huh.
But my entire life did become crypto, so might as well just lean into it.
Good.
Just like, oh, Connor works a ton, and then what does he do when he doesn't work? He writes about crypto, and then he podcasts about crypto, and then he talks to his fiance about crypto, and then he refreshes the price a little bit.
Let it flow through you, man. You got to let it flow through you.
And then I read a book before bed about the history of Ethereum, and
yes. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, it's been a great experience so far, and I've had a blast. And so we wanted to do a couple of things with this last show of the year. First off, I want to plug this hackathon, which we just launched. And then next, we wanted to do like a sort of end of the year summary. And we don't have like a bunch of graphics mocked up or anything, but we just have a list of, Connor did a great job of creating a list of stuff that happened this year, pretty exhaustive. And then we have, different websites, and we figured we just kind of walk forward from the beginning of the year and just brainstorm on different things that happened and just talk about an Avalanche.
So this is one thing that a lot of people, when they come to crypto, there's not a good record of what came before you. If you joined Avalanche in June, you have no idea what happened before then. If you joined in October, you have no idea what happened before then.
Oh, man.
So I wanted this to be kind of like just a cool oral history of what happened this year, because there's honestly not a ton of record of it. There is if you like dig through all of the articles and blog posts, but there's no like kind of succinct history to catch up on, like what happened in February in Avalanche, like what were the major things that happened. And so this is something that I thought would be really fun for us to close out the year, and just to give a little teaser of what's coming next. We have big plans for 2022, and our first episode of the year is going to be a deep dive on our titular concept. We're going to be talking about subnets.
Yes.
I think 2022 will be the year of the subnets, and we want to kick it off with a deep dive. A few months ago, I wrote a really in-depth Twitter thread, and we're going to go through all that information and talk about all of the nitty-gritty. So it's definitely going to be one you're going to want to check out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so first, let me do this here. I'm going to actually share my screen because I wanted to show this. I think you should be able to see my web browser now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to really quick plug this. So as of Monday, we kicked off this really cool hackathon with Morales called the Morales Avalanche Hackathon. It's absolutely huge. You guys may know Ivan from tech. He is a classic OG in the YouTube tech scene. And he recently is a blockchain entrepreneur, and they have a really cool startup called Morales, which is basically like Firebase for blockchain. And they support a bunch of different APIs, but they recently added Avalanche. And it's pretty rad. I've been playing around with it, and it's cool if you need to spin up an indexer, if you need to spin up a full node. Basically, if you've ever created a dApp, and I'm sure Connor has felt this pain much more than myself because he's the dApp champion, you know, just spinning up the backend is part of the work, right? There's so many different components that you got to get working. And so this is all of that as cloud services. And, you know, this is the same vision that I myself have had for years. I built this as the startup Bitbox, which was acquired by Bitcoin.com, but for Bitcoin Cash, right? Bitcoin Cash cloud services compared with SDKs. So anyway, we kicked off this really cool hackathon with these guys and gals, and it's currently $500,000 in prizes, which is a stunning amount of money. The top three is literally 175. So first place is 100 grand, second is 50, third is 25. So first place is $100,000, which is just crazy, man. Like I've been to so many hackathons, and you know, the first place being 100 grand. I'm sure there have been a lot of startups that have started in the past that have started on 100 grand or less as an angel round. Like if there were 2 or 3 people and they were all living together in the same spot and you were eating ramen every day, you could start a startup for 100 grand in these day and age. And so this is kicked off. It's going live now. And I just want to have everybody basically check out this URL up here, morales.io/avalanche-hackathon. Go register for this and make this happen over the next couple months. All right. Thank you so much for letting me plug that.
All right. Now I want us to set the stage.
Yeah.
On the eve of 2021, December 31st, 2020, Avalanche hit its all-time low price, which I didn't actually write down the number, but truthfully, the all-time low was December, according to CoinMarketCap, was December 31st, 2020.
I have it right
so we
here.
have
So December 31st would have been December 31st, 2020. It looks like the price was $3.66.
So we have come a long way since then.
Right. And so what's funny is if you look at this chart, so again, I was just sharing my screen. Check this out. So if you look at this chart right here, I think you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
So this is the beginning of last year. And as he mentioned, if I scroll over and say December 31st, right here it is 12/31, it was 366, right? And so you can see right after that, there was a spike to start out the first part of the year. And if you remember, this is when we had a software bug, right?
Yeah. So let's just start at the beginning of the year. So like January. January was a big announcement month for us. We had promised a few things to come out. We had promised Pangolin. We had promised the Apricot phase 1, or actually no, just Apricot period was coming out in January. And so I think in anticipation, we actually saw our first mini pump.
And we learned a lot
from
that. Yeah, you'll see that we're a lot less committal to dates now, simply because we had social blowback from committing to stuff and not shipping it on time. And, you know, if anybody's ever built a complex system, and if ever there were a complex system, Avalanche qualifies with the value-bearing assets. It takes the time it takes. And, you know, I've worked on no team that works as hard as the Avalanche team. Like this team throws down 24/7, and it's taken the time it's taken to ship things, but we've got blowback. And as he's mentioning, we were supposed to ship, we had promised a lot in January, and we saw this pump. But then is there anything that we should cite in before what happened at the top of the pump?
Yeah, well, so you see, like we kind of had our first like little price increase, and that was really exciting for me because ever since I joined, we were flat. You know, we were fluctuating within $1. Then all of a sudden we go up, we're like over $10 right after the new year turned. It was really exciting. It was like kind of anticipation building for what was to come. And then what really happened, the first real kickstart of this first exponential jump was the launch of Zero Exchange and Pangolin.
Yeah,
I
let's
gotta
call it
give
like it is. Yeah, you're a legend. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off,
I
but let's
gotta
call
give
it like
Zero
it is.
Exchange a little bit of credit.
Yeah, they do deserve credit. Did we ever, not that I'm trying to dox them, so if we don't know who they are and they don't want to be known, I don't care, but I never figured out who they were. I don't think I've ever had any social interaction with them.
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, okay. I didn't think so. Yeah, it's a great Pangolin. I probably would have not called out a Zero Exchange, but to be fair, I can remember the time and the place, and they were there generating buzz as well. And they were racing to put up a bridge. They put up a bridge about the same time that the Avalanche bridge went live.
Yep, and that's exactly what happened. Avalanche Ethereum bridge launched on Monday. Pangolin launched on Tuesday.
Oh, okay, so that was a Monday, Tuesday punch. I didn't remember that.
Yeah, it was a Monday, Tuesday punch.
Oh,
and
that's beautiful. So orchestrated, so well. Oh, good job. Nice job.
Pangolin wasn't late. The bridge was late.
And so like that was a 1-2 punch, and over the very first weekend $100 million came over the bridge. I remember from Ethereum. That was a nice little metric. And Connor, like, that was his baby, right? So again, this is a special moment, and just think how significant that is, because that was Connor's baby, and that was also a big catalyst for the beginning of the Avalanche network. That's just a cool claim to fame, dude. That's really something you can take special for yourself. That's pretty
cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I was looking on I had a reason I had to look up an old transaction recently, and it kind of got me curious. I saw that it was a super early transaction in the network, and I was curious what block my first Avalanche transaction was. And on mainnet, it was block 273.
Nice.
It was before I was hired at the company. Crazy. And man, we're over 8 million blocks right now. So to be my first entry was 273, man, like that. I got in early.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. And the way Avalanche consensus works is it's quiescent, right? So there's no heartbeat. You don't know that Avalanche, a block is happening every so many seconds. So to go from 270 whatever to 8 million means that there were transactions happening the entire time. They were pushing the block height up over and over and over and over, which is also pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So now you'll see, so that first exponential curve, that was the launch of Pangolin. But less than 48 hours after the launch of Pangolin, after we had seen incredible demand, incredible success that we had never seen before, there's a giant kind of crash that happens. And the reason for that was our very first big bug, really, on the platform. This is something that all chains experience. A couple of months before us, Solana had one of these. Ethereum and Bitcoin, they've had many of these such events.
Yeah.
And we tested our code as well as we could, but when you go to production and you have thousands of simultaneous users in geographies around the world, you can't really test for that. And so we had our first big bug. We actually had a mint. We double minted some funds to a couple different users, and the chain slowed down. But I think we handled it very well. It was definitely an all hands on deck situation for the company. I worked till like 5 a.m. one night, 4 a.m. the next, and we had it resolved within 48 hours. And the platform team did an absolutely killer job. I think that was Patrick O'Grady, our VP of engineering. His coming out party really.
Yeah, it
was.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that was like, I viewed it the same way. Like, it was unfortunate. I, of course, view it as how did we react? And we reacted really, really well. I don't get any credit. I wasn't there solving the problems. The people who solved the problems reacted really well. Patrick and the platform team, Connor and his team acted like professionals and solved the problem. And that's the real takeaway from me is it's just like, okay, cool. The Avalanche team, again, kills it and is super pro status and is on it. And so, yeah, that happened around this time. And that is a little bit of egg on the face that will always be there. So again, it's kind of like, how mature are you and how much do you know from building these kinds of systems? And do you appreciate that there's bugs in everything, right? Like, there's bugs in everything. It's just whether or not, I'm trying to think of the correct way to say it. So basically there's bugs in everything because the surface area of these software stacks is hundreds of trillions of lines, and not everything has been totally reviewed, all the different places and all the different intersection points. It's just kind of like, how obscure is it? How much is it worth it to execute, if something's insecure or whatever. But in the context of this, again, we basically were able to recover from it and move forward. But that was what happened right here. So it literally was like we were on this crazy tear. And if anybody's looking at this price thing right here, you can imagine what it was like living through this, however many hours right here. This was just like one of those damn crypto's crazy moments. You know what I'm saying? And then that happened at the top. And it was a bummer. But, you know, again, if you kind of live in this world, it's like, hey, it's just one of those things, dude. You know, again, I think we came out on top because we performed well. But in the context of the price, it kind of crashed it, if you will. And that was a local high that lasted for, you know, most of the year until we started getting to the later of the year. So with regards to price, most of the interesting stuff happened at the beginning of the year. And what made it double interesting is put yourself back here, Connor. At this point in the game, the only things that really even existed we're talking about were like the Pangolin and the bridge. Think about all the stuff that came here. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's crazy to think about what was going on at this place in the game right here. Can we see here if I go to Avalanche stats and I go to C chain, do you know if it goes back that far?
I don't think it does, but
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, everything is like last 2000. But yeah, so I mean, that was a really, really exciting, time when this was the first kind of validation we had that we had product market fit.
Oh, it does, dude. Look, just so you know.
Oh,
look,
it does, yeah.
Yeah, so we can go ahead. I didn't cut you off. Product market fit. Yep.
Here yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So this was the first time that we had real users. I mean, everyone before Pangolin was really just a dev or a toy. Yeah.
Is this when it was? No, it wasn't.
No, that's Avalanche Rush.
God, oh yes, of course. Sorry.
It's the first hump.
It's literally right here.
Yes.
That's so epic. This is the beginning of the whole journey, you guys. This is when Pangolin and the bridge launched. Classic.
Yeah, it was our first app. I mean, that's really what it was. Anybody else was just exploring, testing, or building.
Amazing.
Like this was the first time we had real customers.
Yeah, it's so significant. Such a cool milestone to own. Congratulations on that. So yeah, so we move forward from that. And then what else do we got on the list that comes next?
So the next thing that kind of happened that was really cool is we had auto compounders come to Avalanche. So these people who are like, oh, you built Pangolin, we have these exchanges now. Can we help people earn these liquidity rewards by forking things like Pickle Finance? And so this is when we had Snowball Finance and Yield Yak come. And so this was kind of the second class of dApp on the chain was these auto compounders that we got to meet the teams of and have done a super great job to today. They're some of the most prominent apps on the chain for good reason.
Yeah, they're OGs. Absolutely. Many of them are even involved in our hackathon that I mentioned earlier. We've got a crazy ton of support from the community. And as he mentioned, we also met some of them. And what's been really cool, and it's something Luigi has articulated so well and executed on so well, and John Nahas as well, is that there's like this sort of goal of providing all these different primitives with which these higher level DeFi experiences can be built. And in the beginning, the only primitives we had were a bridge for liquidity and a DEX or an AMM in the form of, Pangolin. Mm-hmm. And that was like where the party started. And all of a sudden you got these compounders showing up, right? And there's other different little primitive Lego pieces or building blocks that you can start snapping together and stringing together more advanced DeFi user experiences. And one of the stories of this entire year has been exactly that. Both the emergence naturally because of market forces, and through things like the Avalanche Rush program and Blizzard and Avalanche X grant program, the addition of more and more of these DeFi primitives with which higher and higher UXs can be built. And we've just seen this explosion of DeFi, right? And it's been really cool to see it happen. And it taught me like a couple of things. Number one, it makes me realize the challenge of just spinning up another EVM instance and competing. Because really what you need network effect, you need liquidity, and you need these DeFi primitives. And it's not just as easy as saying, we've got a new EVM. It's like, it's a little bit of legwork going on, man. The people behind the scenes the non-engineers, the people doing all the biz dev, get a lot of freaking respect from me in this whole journey that we've had so far. So anyway, I just want to kind of give a shout out to give a sense there of what's happening. So we get the compounders.
Yeah. And so then we kind of entered a little bit of a lull. Okay. I think this was when we were kind of locked from an innovation standpoint. We weren't bringing in tons of new builders, and we also didn't have chain link price feeds, which was a huge blocker. So we couldn't get lending protocols.
Okay.
So
this is where the network effect was biting us, right? It's like one of those things where it's like you can't learn to play the guitar unless you know Eddie Van Halen, but you can't get Eddie Van Halen unless you know how to play the guitar, right? Or whatever they say in Bill and Ted. It's like that paradox, right? It won't jumpstart itself, but somehow it's got to jumpstart itself. Mm-hmm. So that's where we were.
Yeah, and this is where we enter kind of a period that I like to call like the DEX wars. Okay. So this was all of the decentralized exchanges of like, it was really easy to build an AMM on Avalanche because you could just fork Pangolin and launch it. So there were a lot of competitors that were popping up that were just building DEXs because that was like the easiest thing to build. Mm-hmm. So we saw Yeti Swap, we saw Panda Swap, we saw Baguette, we saw
Baguette in the house.
Yeah, there were so many.
Who else? Keep going.
What was it? Obviously Zero Exchange. Then there was another one, not Compound, Confluence, something with the C. I can remember what it looked like. It had like a gray website. Sure. There were so many DEXs that launched. Yeah. Party Swap was more recent. Yeah. And then eventually one kind of launched that was called Trader Joe.
Oh yeah.
Which you guys might have heard of. But yeah, so there are all these kind of DEXs launching with their tokens, and then they would give you airdrops. So that was some free money, which was cool. Elk Finance. Yeah. That was another one. So all these
still around. How many of them do you know? Like, what's the percentage?
Yeti Swap is still around. Yeah. I think all of the others. Yeah. Trader Joe. Yeah. Zero is dead. I know they branded to Relay, which is a bridge.
Okay.
So a few of them around. Yeti Swap is also very, very different now than it was then. Okay. But yeah, so that was kind of, there was a lot of DEXs, a lot of people just kind of tweaking the tokenomics, but not huge innovation and like building, apps that no one had dreamed of before.
And I had a question around this. So to me, it seems like the DAO is sort of like a DAO is like the emergent governance structure that, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. It's like the natural governance structure which emerges from DeFi, right? So it's like
it's the decentralized governance structure. So
it's like the thing which naturally emerges. So my question is there a reason that people always do DEXs? Is there something innate in them like there is with DAOs? Why do people always do DEXs first? It seems like DEXs are the very first run of like of this kind of thing, or is it just, am I seeing it through the lens of that's what happened in our world?
Is it why DEXs? Are you asking why DEXs are the first thing to come to a new chain, or why DEXs become DAOs?
Why do DEXs come to the chain first? Why did we see the DEX wars first? Why is it like the first thing people do?
Because they're easy to make, because Uniswap made it easy to fork their code.
Okay, easy enough. That's it. And it comes with its own token, which is going to have some money.
And it's self-contained. Okay. You don't need any other building blocks. It's a layer. It is the first building block.
You're right. Because from that you can provide liquidity tokens, which allow you to do compounders, right? So it adds a whole other. You have that.
Exactly. You can build compounders. You can build lending pools, and you need the ability to swap. If you're going to run a multi-token ecosystem, you need the ability to swap between them. So it's kind of a natural need.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah. So after during the DEX wars, we also started to see the emergence of.
I'm just showing my screen here. If you want to point out something, I can jump to the tab. So let me know if there's.
Something. Oh no, it's okay. I like the metrics.
All right.
But I would say during the DEX wars, we started seeing some of our first meme coins. The two I'll shout out is Avok shitcoin. And we also had a really cool one called Sex Finance, which was absolutely hilarious. They had a male genitalia coin and a female genitalia coin, and you could burn your tokens, causing them to mate, which would produce a baby coin.
I don't remember that one at all. Somehow that one didn't hit my radar. That's pretty funny.
Oh no, yeah, that was a fun weekend. We also had some really funny feedback that I will still reference on occasion. Of somebody created one of the first subnets on Avalanche called "Your docs suck. No any devs help."
Yeah, thanks to that guy, whoever that was feeling so cheesed that night. I apologize that we didn't help you, but boy, you burned us forever, because that subnet will be there for all time, basically.
It's one of those memes, Hodl,
Yeah, it is. It's
Hard
pretty
Rock
funny.
Nick now,
Oh,
and
that
your
dude blew
doc's
up.
up.
He's the real winner of DeFi. That guy, whoever you just said, that Nick guy,
He is.
he's the real winner of this whole play.
He'll come up later in the story.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're jumping way too far ahead.
Yeah, and just in this period, so this was a time when it was very much early adopters, people experimenting. We also saw our first NFTs really on the platform that had sales. The first project was called Crypto Seals,
Yep.
which is to this day a amazing, super cool project. I love it. It sold me on NFTs personally. Like I never got like crypto kitties or anything before this, but this project totally won me over. When it happened, Work Slap was popping off. Everyone's like, everybody, you got to check this out. Yeah, you got to buy some of these. Yeah. And it was kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons themed. You can go to the website cryptoseals.art if you want to show. Sure. It was a Dungeons and Dragon themed NFT launch where you get you get a seal, a summoning seal, and then you have the opportunity to invoke it. And when you invoke the seal, you unlock a new character, and the character could be of different rarity tiers. If you just scroll down, I think it'll show you some of the, or go to the characters tab. Yeah, so there you can unlock different characters. There was different classes. There was like the Void Witch or whatever, and the Grim Reaper, the Knight, the Zombie. It was really cool. Then we also had another project at the same time called Snowies, which was a artistic penguin drop, which I was also a big fan of. You can find one on my profile banner on Twitter.
Not having much
really cool.
By the way. Sorry, guys.
Oh well, it's okay. We can move on.
Good. Oh, here we go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this is the beginning of the NFT thing, and so we have a ton of NFT stuff going on now. Here you go. Here's some stuff to see. Yeah, this is pretty cool.
And yeah, the explosion of NFTs had not happened yet. We had not had our NFT summer, and this was just one of the coolest things that we'd seen. So during this time we had some other products launched.
I thought another thing that's worth pointing out here. Sorry to keep cutting you off.
Yeah,
go ahead. I thought another thing that's worth pointing out is that this was still when a large majority, not all of them, but a lot of projects that were in the ecosystem were from the Avalanche X grant program.
Yes,
and there's a different class of project that comes from grants from X versus Blizzard versus Rush, right? So Rush is blue chip dApps. They're like the highballers and they're coming over pretty polished. Grants are more, MVPs or that kind of thing that are building into something greater. So the quality of the apps here is still not as fully baked or as fully polished as what we have now towards the end of the year. We have a lot better apps.
Yeah, another project that started in this time was marker.io, which was like kind of the first tracker, which actually let us see, kind of what apps were going on the ecosystem and how much money there is. Let's see, Marker.
I got it. And I use this for TVL, but this is different than DeFi Llama because this counts. What's it called? There's a word for when you can basically.
It's the folded liquidity on the lending protocols.
And you want to give it to explain like I'm five real quick what that is?
Yeah, sure. So
just to give the high level, if you go to DeFi Llama, it'll say we have like 11 billion. What's the difference? The difference is what he's about to explain.
So the difference is if you go to a lending protocol like Aave, if I deposit $100, let's say I can withdraw 10% of what I deposit. So if I deposit $100 worth of AVAX, I can then withdraw as a loan $10 worth of AVAX. Then I can reinvest that $10 that I've borrowed into my depositing strategy. So I've now deposited $110 of AVAX. I can now borrow another $1 of AVAX against that 110 and redeposit that. So now I've deposited $111. Now I can't borrow anymore. So now technically there is $111 locked in Aave or whatever, but I actually only put $100 in.
Okay.
So it allows you to, it depends whether you want to, it kind of double counts some of the money in the ecosystem.
I got you. Okay. Makes it. So yeah, so that's the difference when you see 17 here and DeFi Llama is 11 or something. It's that right there. Okay, yep. Cool. Thank you. So Marker launches at this time. Okay. What time of the year are we talking about right now?
I think we're kind of in like April,
Got it. Okay.
Mayish, and then we're getting into the summer. So in the summer, kind of, as you saw in the kind of the price diagram, we kind of entered a lull. We had like our first dip, and our first real like kind of crash. We went all the way down to like $9 at one point.
Yeah. Right.
After that first exponential curve getting up to like $60-$70, so we'd come down a long way.
And it's worth pointing
And
out, it's worth mentioning here. So you got to imagine how many people are on ramping into crypto right now. You guys know what it is. We're going mainstream. People have seen the adoption bell curve, right? It's a bell curve where we're in this phase where the big part of the bell is getting in. That's where we're moving to the big part of the bell, basically. So we're going mainstream. So of course, I have a ton of the cliche friend from high school, blah, 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 who are hitting up, who are now trading on Coinbase, trading on whatever, got their Sheep, got their Doge, got their Avox, they're in the game. And I answered so many questions. There was a huge sell me after this moment right here when we had that bug in Avalanche. There was just a lot of, after we went from $50 down to $9, a lot of my friends were kind of, the people who aren't crypto native and don't understand how this game is played were like, wow, it sure was nice. You guys had it here. That's the best you ever did. They thought we were just going to go down.
So it was our mini bear market for sure. This was the time where we weren't getting the media attention. We didn't have a lot of big wins. We were just grinding. We had wins, but they just weren't publicly recognized.
Yep.
But yeah, in this time, we still had some really cool stuff happen. One of the things I'll just plug is that we had our Topps MLB release.
That was when I really got to connect with
NFTs.
Connor. That was like such a great experience. It was a gruel. I haven't worked that hard. And I think I was saying at the time, whenever I was first started my career in 2012, I was at Trulia and we had an IPO. We went public, and that was one of the highlights of my career for sure. But I hadn't worked in just that many hours straightforward. Like, let's throw down. We're working for the next like 6 weeks, 10 weeks straight, no weekends off, everyday doubles. We grinded that out, and I give Connor so much respect. I learned a lot about him there. He's a smart dude. He's an A+ player. He earned my forever respect. And that was where I met Connor, basically. We were on the same team before that. Whenever he first joined Ava Labs, we were very briefly on a team called the Hydra team, but he was doing dApps and I was doing developer services. It wasn't a mix, but that's the first time we worked together like closely. And that was pretty awesome. That was, to me, a huge milestone. I mean, number one, MLB. Yeah. Come on, MLB. That's like
the brand recognition. Yeah, you don't get that much bigger than that. There's not that many people that are that are bigger. Yeah,
that's huge. And that was just a cool experience. I learned a ton about Amazon Web Services. I think we ended up integrating like 12 or 17 different web services, and just it was nice to see a holistic software stack like that that's so powerful, and how it all plugs and plays together. And just it was inspiring to me. Connor and myself did a lot of brainstorming on what blockchain of the cloud would look like, which is actually a lot of what Morales, which is building, actually, to loop it back there. But yeah, just it was a great learning experience for me. I learned so much, and we ended up getting the MLB Topps launch out of that, which was absolutely huge. And that's gone on to be an incredibly great theme. What all have you guys launched on that? Just go ahead and walk that one out.
Yeah, so we've done collaborations with Major League Baseball, Bundesliga. We've done several releases. We did some for like the World Series for baseball. Again, we've also done some for Godzilla, Bazooka Joe. We have a few more releases lined up. And we're also working with several other major licenses on releases. We released recently on the platform. We had one working with a team called Orange Comet to do NFTs for the New York Islanders. Nice. And we have lots of cool NFTs lined up in the future.
Do you want to cut to the chase about the big one that's launching now, or are we just going to wait till the end of the year? I guess we'll get there.
No, let's stick to the chronological one. I'm kind of having fun just talking about what's going on. So kind of in this bear market, we were building, but some of the cool stuff that came out here, I think this was when we actually launched dynamic fees, which was a huge platform upgrade. So if for any of you that are new, when we actually started, our fees were fixed, and they were fixed for when the price was 50 cents pre-release at our token sale. And, we started trading around $3 or $4. So the fees weren't that expensive, but when the price started multiplying by several orders of magnitude, but, by several, factors, fees started getting really expensive. And so we actually had a few static fee reductions, but it was a while before we actually released dynamic fees. And that happened this summer, a little bit after the ETH 1559 release. We actually piggybacked off of the same format.
Yep.
So that was a huge thing to happen this summer. Another major milestone, episode 1 of the Subnet show launched.
Boom. That was in the summer, huh?
That was, I just pulled it up, July 22nd.
Nice. Yeah, I would be interested to know how many episodes that was since then. We've done one every week. I don't think we missed a single week. Yeah, that's pretty rad. Nice job, dude. We've been doing it for 2 seasons now. That's pretty epic. Maybe a season and a half. I'm impressed.
14, 15, 16, 17. So this will be our 21st episode.
No way. That's epic. That's great.
We can this podcast can drink.
Whew, finally. I need one.
Yeah, I know. It's very cool. I think the average podcast lasts 3 episodes is what I've heard. So to make it 21 is already a big deal. And I feel like we're only getting better.
I do too. And I'm very inspired to come back and put a lot of fresh energy into it in the new year. I was just brainstorming with my son about it yesterday. Like, I think this has just been a great first chapter now to come back and put a little energy and the just step up the quality a little bit more. Like each time, just do something a little bit better, make it a little better. You can see on the screen here, I have major milestones. It's funny to look at these numbers here: 0 to 400 million total value locked across the Avalanche platform, 1 billion traded across all dexes. Trader Joe just hit 1 billion like the other day, I think, by themselves, right?
Oh, Pangolin has done 11 billion.
Okay, then they hit another big number. I know that CryptoFish was hitting a big number the other day, but okay. So this is now going into the summer. So now how are we looking on the list? What's going on in the summer? What's next?
Yeah, different upgrades. Yeah.
You also have the Google Doc, right?
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I was just looking at your list. So the next really big, absolutely foundational, earth-shattering moment for us that happened this summer was the announcement of Avalanche Rush.
Oh yeah, that was that was absolutely.
This was when you go back to the price curve, when you go back to the usage curve. Yeah. There's a point you can see.
So we'll look at so show me when it was. August something, right here.
Oh, it's right there. Go down a little further. Yeah. Right there.
Okay, so this is August 15th here. So let's look. It starts at $19 on August 15th, and let's go look at next these stats. Where was that?
I don't remember the exact day it was, but I mean it was right around there.
Yeah. So let's look at what August 15th looks like on the usage charts.
And the announcement of Avalanche Rush wasn't just the announcement of an incentives program. It was also the announcement that Aave was coming to the platform. It was also the announcement that Curve and Sushi were coming to the platform. Sushi still TBD.
Look right here. Same thing.
Yeah.
Boom, explosion.
That was the start. That was, I think, when people saw that Avalanche, like, oh man, there's some like real stuff here. We can get some free money. Everybody, let's try this out. Yeah. And I think it really accomplished exactly what we wanted to. We wanted to get users in the door because we knew if they came and tried us that they wouldn't leave, because our product, really is an order of magnitude, if not multiple orders of magnitude, more usable and better user experience than anything else out there.
And we've been very fortunate to have like a very, very, very competent and amazing biz dev team and director of DeFi in the form of Luigi going out there and forming professional relationships with the blue chip dApps. This isn't like some fly in the wind organic kind of thing that's happening here. This has been very driven and organized by very, very competent people. So that's why it's been partially so successful. And another great thing is that the initial funds were allocated and denominated in AVAX. So as the price of the USD blew up, the amount of USD available to the fund blew up from $180 million to nearly $700 million. And so, that's clearly a significant amount of money, and that has been a huge, huge, huge driver. And you can just see it right here. I mean, look at this.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're interested in hearing more about Avalanche Rush, you should listen to our episode where we had Luigi Di Maio, the director of DeFi at Avalabs, on. I mean, we talked all about this.
Yep, he's a champion.
Yeah. So, and then right after Avalanche Rush was announced, we had our big launches. Aave launched, but actually the first big lending protocol was BenKey Finance, which is a lending protocol. And BenKey had a fantastic launch. They became the first protocol to I think cross over
in 5 days, $1 billion in 5 days.
They had 1 billion TVL in 5 days. They were the first protocol on Avalanche to hit 1 billion. I think they had the highest liquidity of any lending protocol off of Ethereum. Really incredible launch.
Yeah, so this
could not have gone better.
So this is like, is this the compound fork or clone?
Yeah, I think it's a compound fork.
Got it. So the other day, if I remember correctly, I saw who was it? Mark Cuban, I believe, gave a pretty good tweet where he was like quoting somebody who said, somebody correct me if I said this wrong, but I believe I caught it, where he was quoting somebody saying to him, show me one thing that DeFi can do that traditional finance can't do, right? So he was saying somebody's challenging me clearly, and he said, I want to get a loan. I have this collateral. I have to go to the bank. I have to sign some documents. It takes 3 or 4 days. I get the loan. Or I go to Compound. I stake some AVAX, or not AVAX. I stake some Ethereum. I get the loan. I'm out. Right?
Or flash loans, man. You don't even need the collateral.
Right. There you go. So it's like banking's not flash loans though, correct?
I don't believe they have them, but yeah, I believe Aave does.
Yeah, we met the gentleman JD. Is that his name? The dude from Banky? We met him in Lisbon. He was a very kind gentleman, very cool. Okay, so this happens. So we got the Banky launch. Who else did you mention?
Yeah, so Banky, Aave launched, Curve launched. We also started to see an NFT explosion. We had the Tubby Reindeer, the Avox Apes, so many cool projects. The Avalanche profile pictures took over. We got the red triangle in your Twitter hashtag.
We got to talk about these.
Oh, yeah.
So
so this is go ahead.
Yeah, Mexico's oldest and most popular soccer club celebrated their 115th anniversary by launching an NFT contest. If I remember correctly, there were several of them that were submitted, and they were so slick. There was one of them that had like the classic, I don't know the exact subculture, but like Incan type artwork version. It was really, really slick. It was like a snake or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was incredibly sharp. Or dragon maybe. But yeah, so that's pretty cool, right? Like the 115th anniversary of Mexico's oldest soccer club launched an NFT on Avalanche. Super rad. Super rad.
Yeah, and so,
shout out to Ricardo and Andy for their work on that, by the way.
We have a fantastic Latin American, South American team. They do an amazing job. They love Avalanche, and they're trying to bring it to a new part of the world. Yep. So yeah, we had the red triangle Twitter signal. Yep. That was a really cool campaign. I love my red triangle. Yep. And we started to see all the influencers as Avalanche started doing better. We had tons of influencers, venture capitalists start coming into the ecosystem, and there was just noise. There was people talking about it. And it was really cool for me just to see all the hard work we put in, especially in that, kind of bear market period leading up to this, like really start to pay off and start getting like the recognition that we're a top tier chain. When we started the year, I'm not sure, we were probably outside the top 100. When I started the company, we were outside the top 100. Sure. And now, we've, at this time, we started rocketing up, into the top 20 for the first time. And, people started taking us seriously. I think that was one thing as a company when we would try to make a deal happen a year ago, people would say, who are you? Yeah. Like, are you okay? If you want to integrate with us, you got to pay us because, you guys are small time. Mm-hmm. And now we've gotten to a point where people recognize us as like being, one of the biggest players in the space. And, people want to work with us because they get to work with Avalanche and stuff. And it's really nice to get kind of that respect from all corners. And we started getting it on Twitter from the influencers and stuff. But we also really triggered the maxis, which is great. Yep. They finally saw us as a threat.
Yeah. And it's been interesting to sort of witness like the exact same argument that Bitcoin maxis used against Ethereum. You'll hear Ethereum maxing used against Avalanche, and Ethereum's not even the dominant chain. It's just a really weird, being a maxi is weird. Don't be a maxi. Let's have that be a little lesson and a pledge we all adopt. Just don't be a maxi. It's just a weird stance to take. And it's not the hill you want to die on, right? And you know what I mean? It's not worth being a maxi.
I think about this all the time of like, am I an Avalanche maxi? And
I like not to be.
Yeah.
The way I approach it is this. I approach it like this. I am of the opinion and I've said this 1,000 times, I'm a broken record, the pace of change is accelerating radically. And I just don't think it's a realistic bet to ever think that one technology is the supreme technology and that something else won't come along that's a higher level abstraction. Because the history of computer science is the repeated pattern of going from programming in the small to programming in the large, and going from low-level languages and APIs to high-level language APIs. And whatever today that we think of as super huge and super high level, our children will think of very low level and very small, because this thing keeps happening. It keeps getting higher and bigger, higher and bigger. And so I just got to imagine there's going to be the people who come after us are going to build on what we build and come up with more stuff. So that's why I think being a maxi just falls flat, because there's always going to be something else. My take.
Yeah. And I would also say, I mean, I believe in the multi-chain world. I mean, I think that these things aren't necessarily just technological comparisons. I think there's a lot of religion involved. And I think there's a place for different chains that optimize for different things.
Yep.
I think Binance could very easily be successful as like the Chinese chain or something like that. Sure. That doesn't mean it's better, doesn't mean it's worse, but it just serves a different market better than it serves our market. Or Solana, they might stick around. Phantom, like all these people are really smart. They're all working really hard on their technologies. Yeah. And I personally, I think Avalanche has the best technology. I think we have the best team, but that isn't to discredit other people. And I think other teams will do things better than us at times. And you can pretend that they don't exist and hate them, or you can try to learn from them, steal it, and then fast follow and steal their market cap.
Yeah. I mean, it's a multi-chain world, and there's a lot of smart people out there doing a lot of great stuff, and it's nice to just give people the credit where it's due.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll kind of going back on track. And so this has just been a really exciting last, 4 or 5 months of just so much cool stuff happening. I asked on Twitter earlier today, what were, some of your favorite memories from Avalanche last year? And there was definitely some that I forgot. And I want to shout out Twitter user Ishan0x, who reminded me of the Masari ice cream truck.
That was a good one.
Which was at Masari mainnet. Yeah. The Masari mainnet, Avalanche sponsored an ice cream truck to give out free ice cream. And it was a really cool Twitter moment for me. I was not at mainnet, but seeing that was pretty cool. And then, but not every moment that we had during this period was good. We definitely had some bad ones. V Finance had, I think, probably the first big hack on Avalanche, and it was a big hack. It ended up in the top 10 of Wrecked News.
How did that go down? I don't even remember that one, actually. What went down there?
It was V Finance was it was a price oracle manipulation. They were a margin trading service. I think it was $60 million they lost.
Oh, bummer.
I can double check that fact, but they basically used a DEX as their price oracle, and it was manipulated. Sorry, $34 million, which was in the top 10 at the time. It has now fallen to number 12.
Got it.
But yeah, that was a negative moment. And there's also been some famous rug pulls over the last few months. The original rug pull, I think back in like May or something like that, was like Zabu Finance. That was the first big one. And just a few weeks ago, I think all of Avalanche Twitter was flabbergasted when S-Dog rugged, which was a meme coin of part of another project, which I believe was an Ohm fork. But a lot of people were having a lot of fun with that coin, and then it all collapsed.
Gotcha. Okay. We haven't had, fortunately, anything too bad. Don't get me wrong, $34 million sucks. And I feel for the people who lost their money there, of course. But we haven't had anything tragic, and we haven't had anything other. We had that one bug in the beginning of the year. That was bad. But other than that, we haven't had anything protocol related, anything that's been fatal, obviously, anything that's been really, really deep and worrisome in any way.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's something that we take very seriously, of like,
Absolutely.
Even when the V Finance hack happened, even though it was like a DApp related thing, all of our team was on it. We were trying to make sure that, it was all taken care of, that we had our security experts on it, making sure that the exploit was kind of contained, not visible in like other parts of the network. And, it's a real shame that it happened. And I try to do my best to educate people that are building, because the class of the vulnerability that happened there is the most common one by far, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And most of these big hacks have to do with price oracle manipulation, which is I try to scream to people from the rooftops, do not use DEXs as price oracles. You have to use Chainlink or a similar service. Mm. So, I try to do my part.
Sure. Yeah, I do. You have to do best practices, people. You have to do it. Follow industry best practices. Put in the love up front, and it will pay off dividends on the back end. Mm-hmm. No question about it. Okay. What else?
So now I just want to talk about another just crazy moment for us. And
yeah, go for it.
One of the most anticipated moments of our history, going back to the positive, the Coinbase launch.
Oh man, come on.
This has been, one of the questions of, there was the list of questions people would ask, when Moon, when dynamic fees, when Coinbase.
Yep. Coinbase, huge milestone. Like, come on, if you're into crypto and you're in America, Coinbase remains one of the, if you got a bank, there's a lot of ifs, but Coinbase remains one of the best ways to get money in and out of the system. It's been the primary channel I've used for years. And to get Avalanche listed there was just, talk about a milestone.
It took a lot longer than we were hoping, than other people were hoping.
Yeah.
But we finally made it happen. And that was definitely it was a huge win for us. And actually, coming onto the US exchanges was just, it was been really difficult to buy AVAX in the United States for a long time. And oh yeah, absolutely. And finally to really open up the US market with some of the biggest exchanges is huge for us. And we're continuing to do that. Mm-hmm. Just today, just a few minutes ago, we announced actually that we just partnered with FTX, and we were launching on FTX.
Nice score. That's huge.
So we have a few more to go, but we are interested in, being as accessible as possible, because we want Avalanche in the people's hands. We want anybody who wants it to be able to get it, and not be limited by where they live or, different KYC requirements or whatever, obviously we want people to be like following all rules and restrictions, but some apps work better than others for these kind of things. And sometimes like even your picture won't upload on certain apps. And so you can't use them. Yeah. So yeah, just a few other things I want to mention, but we're getting very close to the present, but just some other things I want to shout out. Trader Joe launched their Banker Joe program, which helped skyrocket their liquidity with their lending protocol, which was a cream finance fork. We also saw the birth of Wonderland, which has been a hugely successul multi-headed Hydra project.
Oh my God. Huge. Did that pop off in London? How long was that around before Lisbon? Did that come out of Lisbon, or was that already?
No, it was before, a few weeks, a couple months before. I was not an early OMI or Wonderland user, so I can't tell you exactly, but by the time Lisbon popped around, the DeFi 2.0 stuff had definitely caught fire for at least like a month, I feel like.
Yeah, that is moving into like a paradigm level craziness right now. Daniele has really like a magician. He is over there casting spells and like piercing the veil over and over, because there's something crazy going on in that world.
I can't understand how many projects this guy pumps out. There's too many pieces. I can't keep track. It's too confusing. Simplify, man.
Yeah, he's a crazy wizard. That dude's off the next level. Yeah, so that's, like you mentioned, okay, so that's getting closer, and that just gives you a sense of like, in the beginning when we started this journey, we're here and there's one DApp, Pangolin, and there's one source of liquidity, Bridge, and there's one grants program, and there's probably how many DApps on the, there's like how many users or whatever. We can see it all over on our stats program here. There's nothing going on, no contract.
One quick thing I missed, around the launch, right before the launch of Avalanche Rush, we launched our new and improved Avalanche Bridge.
Oh yeah, that's the thing to mention. Yes, of course. So that was here at same time, same place, right? Same bat channel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
just another one of those catalysts of like, we want to be the most accessible chain. We want to be a place where it's super easy to bring your liquidity over. We want to give the users the best experience, the fastest experience, the safest experience possible. So yeah, that was huge. And just recently, we also announced that we have new tokens coming over to the bridge for,
Yeah,
and it'll
what's been announced?
expanding our offerings. Actually, I'm not, now that I think of it, I'm not sure if it 100% has been announced, so I'm not going to say which ones.
Yeah,
but we have,
like, can I say it? I don't know. I don't know if it's public.
But we have new tokens coming to the bridge very shortly.
Yeah, good ones too. Good ones. You're gonna be stoked. Good tokens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw a Goon tweet about this today. So yeah, Shiba came over.
Nice. Shiba came across the bridge. That's so cool. So freaking cool. Yeah, and then it's like, now here we are. We're closing off the year. We have Avalanche X for grants. We have Avalanche Rush for blue chips. We have Avalanche Blizzard for infrastructure and ecosystem. We've just got an exploding ecosystem. We've got the emergence of DeFi 2 paradigms. Right on the horizon, we've got subnets. We're going to talk about it next week, but subnets are yet another paradigm, and there's just tons of stuff going on there. So subnets are on everyone's lips. Myself and Connor every week you get like 1,000 different questions from people trying to figure out the technical subtleties. So I'm positive that there are many people who are in the subnet world. So we find ourselves about to cross into the New Year's. We just had our hackathon in Turkey. We had Lisbon, which was absolutely
insane. Tell us about Lisbon. Yeah,
so Lisbon was insane. Like we had so there is ETH, I don't know if it was ETH week or Lisbon blockchain week. I'm not exactly sure what the official title was, but there is a week over the course of which the entire blockchain industry is in Lisbon. And Lisbon is an amazing city. Lisbon is an ancient city. Julius Caesar was there, and it was ancient when he was there. So it's a very old city. And they had this conference, or they had this sort of like party in the old part of Lisbon, and we set up what was called Avalanche House. And so Avalanche House was basically like a mini little conference that we had over the course of a week in Lisbon, where we had speakers every day. Daniele was there, as we just mentioned, with Magic Internet Money and Wonderland. And we had the Banky guys there, and the who else was there?
Stanny from Aave. We had also some guys from Aero Capital.
Yeah, and we made a huge announcement, of course, which was, drum roll,
we launched the partnership with Andretti Motorsport to sponsor the Avalanche Andretti Formula E team.
So beautiful. Such a score.
The race car was beautiful. We got to meet the driver, the team principal, the CEO of Formula E.
Yeah.
And
trying to express the future. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm trying to express that this was also like a partnership for us, not just a one-way deal.
Right. So there's like a connection there between super high tech and green and sustainable. So, they are like a supercomputer on wheels that's all electric. And in my opinion, that's the future, not F1. As cool as F1 is, I'm of the opinion that the renewable form of racing or whatever will be much bigger in 10 or 20 or 100 years. And so what we're seeing now is just the seed, the germ of something which I suspect is going to grow into something huge. And so we have this partnership with them built around sort of like the marketing ideas of high performance and green sustainability, that kind of thing. So we have an officially Avalanche decked out car with the Avalanche red and the logo everywhere. And it's beautiful. It is like a spaceship. You know what I'm saying? It is like,
and this is the thing, when you look back to where we were a year ago,
yes,
when we were at all-time low price, when nobody cared about us, when nobody wanted to work with us. And if you just told us a year later that we're going to have, less than a year later, we're going to have a race car.
Yeah. And so, the Formula E series, or whatever they call it, is all over the world in all of the greatest cities, right? If you look at their road show, it's like, oh, it's beautiful. And so we're going to see that Avalanche car everywhere. And so that's very exciting. That got announced in Lisbon. And then since Lisbon, I believe that the plan is to try and have an event every month or something like that. There's a very aggressive 2022 social physical meet space kind of aggressive plan in the works. And so we just wrapped up a hackathon in Turkey, which was like last week, and Kevin and Goon were there. I think there was like $150,000 in prizes. It looked very successful. I forget the numbers, but there were a couple hundred people there, and it looked very good. And then we just kicked off our hackathon here, and then we've got something. We're going to Barcelona in the spring. I don't think the date's been finalized yet. But so Barcelona's coming up. I urge everybody to try and get out there if you're able to make it. It's going to be the meeting of the minds like no other. It's coming together like boss, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like you would have to lock me up in a straitjacket to prevent me from going to that.
Yeah, it's going to be that good. It's going to be that good. If you can go, you really should try and go. Like if you can make one thing happen this year and you're looking for a good time to connect with some like amazing visionary people, this is the one.
If you've made it this far in this podcast, you should.
There you go. Okay. Yeah.
I've seen the average view times. If you've made it this far, you're a hardcore fan. You'll fit in just fine.
Okay. So is there anything else to wrap up the year?
Just a few things I think that have really just exploded in the last couple of months. I think one of the really cool stories actually coming out of Lisbon was we closed a deal with Krabata to bring Krabata to Avalanche. And so, Krabata launched. It's been an incredible success on our platform. We're all super proud of it. But just gaming has exploded. And I think that's just going to be another thing that we see in 2022. Gaming has already blown up. We've had Axie Infinity. We've had some small successes on Ethereum, small successes, large successes, but I think in the grand scheme of things, small successes on Avalanche, because I think we're going to see things that are 10, 100,000 times bigger.
What's really rad is that Morales, I'll plug it again, has a Unity game engine plugin, which works with Avalanche.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I've been wondering. I've actually had many conversations about building something like that over the years. So I'm glad somebody finally did.
Yeah, they do. So that's exciting as well. Yeah, I agree. Gaming is huge. We've been saying it for so long. It's like, keep beating the same thing over and over, but it's so huge, man. Come on. We're just waiting for that killer app to launch. And so that's a 2022 play as well. I'm positive about when we do the 2022 wrap up from our low orbit space flights, we will be talking about some super killer games.
Absolutely. And then just a couple other really big announcements. We announced our partnership with Deloitte and the first close as you go Deloitte program for FEMA.
That's interesting. Do you know any of the high level details? Close as you
go.
Yeah.
Close as you go. So it's a project built on Avalanche, for FEMA that I believe helps with claim processing or something like that. I don't know all the details of the actual program, but I think the real win for us there is that to make this happen, we had to acquire a certification license to be able to work with Deloitte, that we've kind of passed all of their checks, that we're a reliable company and that Avalanche is a reliable product. That's huge. So now that we've passed all those checks and we can work with Deloitte, Deloitte also has the okay to use our product and to recommend our product to other people. And so since Deloitte is one of the biggest consulting companies in the world, that opens up a lot of windows to use Avalanche and bring it into the government space, to bring it into the corporate enterprise space. Yeah. And just will help us reach so many customers who rely on people like Deloitte to learn about crypto and all of these other decentralized ecosystems.
Yeah, that's huge. And another reason I think that's interesting is it does have to do with FEMA claims, but I don't believe it's like a financial app per se, or certainly not DeFi. So it's interesting to me because it hints at an entirely new paradigm of blockchain-based application, which isn't necessarily a DeFi app, right? Because it's like, what are the other paradigms which are going to emerge from blockchain that are non-DeFi related? This could be one of them, right? So it's interesting to just say, wow, people are building non-DeFi apps, and not just people, but Deloitte.
Yeah, absolutely. We might talk about close as you go a little bit more in a few weeks.
I think we should. Okay.
But yeah, and then just, I think another thing today we announced, or the other day, we had announced a partnership with MasterCard.
Oh yeah.
And for their startup incubator. So no, MasterCard is not running on Avalanche yet, but we're just looking at all the innovation in payments right now and trying to be a part of them, trying to help enable them. And some of my experiences this year is working with traditional payment processors. Has been hugely underwhelming.
He's like a battle-scarred soldier, you guys. This dude's getting like a Purple Heart from that journey.
So I'd say, I think crypto's worst case scenario, if decentralized finance never takes off, if, funding artists or social tokens, whatever, if none of that really takes off, if that all dies out a few years from now, I think crypto's worst case scenario is that we just replace all of the back-end banking infrastructure and just make it so that when you make a credit card payment, just Visa transfers the value on chain to another bank for you, and it settles instantly.
If you do the crazy plumbing that's going on behind the scenes whenever you buy something right now. And if you could replace it with a blockchain transaction that settles immutably instantly, I mean, it's crazy. It's
I mean,
absolutely
even
insane.
if the fees were high, like these companies can like afford to pay it because it's just the difficulty right now is extremely high, and there's so many different jurisdictions you have to deal with. And in the United States, we have credit card payments, we have debit card payments, we have ACH, we have wire payments.
Mhm.
Then when you look at international, there's like the international wires. Then, but each country also has their own form of ACH. So like there's a different one in the EU than there is in Brazil, than there is in Mexico, than there is in China. So you have to account for all these things in a global payment system. And there's no kind of like, super universal way to just make that all work. And so that's why you have all of these kind of like hodgepodge infrastructures from the 70s all kind of like glued together. And this is where I think crypto, like this is the worst case of just like crypto could just replace that market and it'd still be wildly successful.
Yep. 100%.
And then just one last thing I was just going to shout out, just another announcement from the last couple of weeks. We are doing some work in the fine art space. And the Particle Foundation, I think, is recently purchased a Banksy painting, Love is in the Air, that they're going to be auctioning off as a fractionalized NFT in the very near future, which is super cool.
Yes. That's huge. So yeah, if you want to own a piece of a Banksy and have it on the Avalanche blockchain, that's getting ready to launch. Very cool.
So that's it from me. That is my oral history of the last year in Avalanche. We've got a few more weeks of the year left, but
yeah,
like what a year.
Yeah, huge. This is like I've been saying it's I think it's a good time, especially with this being the new year. At least that's what I'm doing, to step back and really just take the big picture in and take a snapshot with my brain and just remember this for the rest of my life as just a very, very special year, a very auspicious year, a year that's been like a rocket ship ride, a year that has changed my life pretty radically personally, a year that I have been tried myself to just keep up with the pace and keep up with the workload and remain professional and remain hardworking. And then I've just met some really cool people and met a lot of great friends along the way, Connor included. And I feel like we've contributed to something which has already made a pretty good change or impact, and is certainly going to have a big impact in the future. So already, even if I did no more work on Avalanche, which clearly I will, but even from today, if I stand back and I look at the system and everything, I feel like, wow, we've made an impact, man. This last year is no joke. I've been in the crypto space many years, and what we have done in 1 year with the Avalanche network is significant. And I tip my hat to all the men and the women that have worked on this, and like the amount of hours and the sweat and the love and the tears that have gone into this have been crazy, man. It has just been the best time of my career, the most fulfilling time of my career, the most successful time of my career. And again, I'm proud of what we've done, and I'm positive we've made a huge impact. And what's even more exciting is what it sets us up for in 2022, which is just, oh my goodness, what are we going to do next year?
And I will say, if you made it this far, if you're not building on Avalanche, but you'd like to, the best time to do that was in 2020. The next best time is 2021.
Yeah.
The next best time is today. There's still time. You're still early.
Yeah, you're early, man. Come on. And the opportunities are bigger now, right? It's all, everything's sort of different, but the opportunities are big now because the players in the space are bigger and there's more liquidity and there's more primitives and in the right people. I mean, think about what Danielle has done in the past few months. I bet it'd be shocking if we knew their numbers, like how much success they've had. Like if we were on the inside, I'm quite sure they've had a rocket ship over the last 3 months. Same thing with Trader Joe, right? I'm sure those Trader Joe guys have done quite well.
Yeah, no, I think we've proved that you can have success. We haven't ever weathered, a full real bear market. There's been crashes in crypto. There's going to be dark times ahead for sure. Bad things are going to happen. There's going to be probably some regulatory wars. But I think, ultimately this community right now where we're at, there's so much innovation. There's so many people building. There's all of the fundamentals are so good right now. There's more users coming over every day. Yeah. There's more builders coming over every day. And just everyone who actually uses the platform is super thrilled by it. So this is just the perfect storm for us to just really make a huge impact. And we would like you, listener, to come along that journey with us.
Yeah. If you made it this far, you're on the journey. So like, if you're not plugged into a project yet, join our hackathon. That's another good plug for that. It's a good opportunity to potentially get paid to on-ramp in the ecosystem, or reach out to myself or Connor. Connor is Das Connor, DAS_CONNOR on Twitter. And I'm CG Cardona, CGCARDONA. Reach out to us. If you've made it this far and you're not plugged into a project, you definitely got to reach out, because we'll get you plugged in. But yeah,
Absolutely.
it's been a great journey, man. Thanks for coming along this far on the podcast. As we mentioned earlier, this is the last one of the year. We're going to take the next couple of weeks off, and when we come back in 2022, we're going to hit it big. So thank you, Connor, man. Have a good holiday season. Best of luck to you and your family and everything. And any last minute thoughts?
No, you too. It's been a fantastic 2021, and man, we got some stuff in 2022, you guys. You should get excited. The Subnet show, Subnet episode, that's just one thing. I've got a lot of great guests lined up.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of great ideas for people to come who I haven't asked yet, but they're going to say yes.
Yeah, sure. And all the people we don't yet know, the whole entire dApps ecosystem, which haven't even joined. Yeah, that's part of the exciting thing. You know, when there's 700 dApps in 3 months or 1,000 dApps in 4 months, it's like all these new teams that are still going to enter the ecosystem. So,
next year's episode might be 2 hours when we do the recap.
It might have to be. Okay.
There were some lull months.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, man.
All right.
All right. So if you made it this far, you're a champion. Like I said, hit us up on Twitter. Also, have a safe and happy holiday season. I'm sending out best wishes to everybody out there. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, all that jazz. And so, as we always say, from Snowflake to Avalanche and through consensus to the stars. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Cheers.